So what do we got here? 5.3% air. That's a pretty hefty amount of air. Not the worst I've ever seen. Should be 0. But complaint started slowly going, not slowly, he said about last month, started getting warmer like all of a sudden after like a day or two. So we do have refrigerant, at least enough to take a test, so we do know that. And so we performed our test there. I did the visual, only the slightest amount of oil buildup upon fittings on the compressor, and they're dry, so it was old and small. This is a Honda 2010, and I was going through the procedure of looking for any kind of pickup out of the dash using the cloud hunting mode right now, and got nothing coming there. And of course, the first thing I do, other than the visual and always analyzing the refrigerant first, was looking inside the caps, or in the fittings. So here's the 400 nano, the UV beast. This is the 400 nanometer, and looking down inside, nothing glows. And this is the 365 wavelength nanometer, and looking in there, nothing glows. So you have two lights, and there's an in-between and a little bit plus 400. But between these two lights, you're in the wavelength spectrum that's on the top end of UV dyes, the bottom end of UV dyes, and there's a little bleed over going a little farther down, and there's a little bleed over going a little higher. So even if they had a UV dye that was dialed in at a higher UV range spectrum above 400 or below 365, it would still glow a little bit, and it doesn't. So there's no UV dye put in there, but somebody did get some air in there. So good possibility. The factory sometimes has a couple percent of air, but usually not 5%. So I'll go off from here, and now I'll be hooking up my gauges. Let's see what I find after I do this. Put down the camera and get back to work and show you what I find.